Hello YouTube, Millennium X17 here. The Ubisoft conference just got over with and they still have this tinge to being awkward. I will say that this year is not as awkward as years past. They had the same host as last year, the Aisha Tyler. I don't know of any show or thing that she does other than I'm thinking she's a comedian, at least I would hope so. She throws in little inappropriate jokes here and there, but by and large, not as awkward as in conferences past. But, you know, what are you going to do? It's Ubisoft. So, overall, yeah, that's what I got to say. There was a couple of shining gems in there, just like every other conference today thus far. There's a couple of shining gems, but really, by and large, nothing that was like, did you see that? No, it's really, a couple of, okay, that looks really neat, that could be very well, but there was a couple of things that they threw in as well that weren't so much, and I'll get to those when I get to those. They started off by bringing out Jerry Cantrell from Alice in Chains, saying that for Rocksmith. That, who knew? I still have it somewhere. I don't know where it is. I lost the cables in here somewhere. There's going to be Rocksmith 2014 edition coming out in this October. It's got a session mode that apparently the game actively listens to how you're playing, and and then there's like a band that'll play with you, and there's a whole different bunch of customizations. It seems cool. I mean, the first Rocksmith I played seemed to definitely be very interesting, though if you're first starting out, but it just doesn't... My problem with the original Rocksmith was that if you don't know anything about guitar, it'll help you get started. If you already know how to play guitar, now while I'm now not even close to anything, I know the basics, okay. I know the basics is different than applying them. Okay, I'm not the best ever, but I know the basics enough so that the actual game tripped me up on the easier settings. It wasn't until the full song ramped in that I was actually able to get more into it because of how they ramp it up. It's kind of hard to explain. It's more of a visual type thing to see it do. But nonetheless, Rocksmith is a very good game. It does help break that barrier of entry into guitars because it ain't no plastic controller. And guitars aren't exactly cheap, so you need that. Anything to help that barrier of entry is what really is really good for for the music industry by and large. So there's that. The entire time, Aisha was wearing this shirt that said #Girlwood, which is a thing that she made big last year, which is just one of the minor awkward things she was doing to that. And she's fucking tall. I mean, damn. Like 6'8", 6'9", I don't know her actual height. She has some serious fucking high heels, but she's tall to boot, too. She was like freaking full on, like everybody that came out from Ubisoft was looking straight up. I'm like, what in the world? And she even made mention of that a couple of times. But anyway, moving on. Splinter Cell Blacklist comes out August 20th. They showed a pre-render trailer. We've seen this game before. Still looks great. Rayman Legends, another pre-render trailer. This time they've actually confirmed a date for Rayman Legends now September 3rd. And remember, this game is it was supposed to come out in February. I forget when in February, but February exclusive to Wii U. Now coming, they said September, previous to now, for all platforms. Now it's September 3rd. So, let's see where that goes. The next game is actually online. Tower defense type game called The Mighty Quest for Epic Loot. It's a pretty interesting sounding game. Sounds pretty interesting. TheMightyQuest.com is the website to go to. It seems, it seems fun enough. They showed a trailer, which was the most awkward point in the entire show. The guy that was, and the character in the trailer just swearing like a sailor at the end. It's just really awkward. But nonetheless, it still could be a fun game. They brought out some... the next game up was South Park, The Stick of Truth from Obsidian Entertainment. Confirming that it is this holiday, but it's the typical South Park type humor. It was... oh God, I should know this. It was I really don't watch South Park, but I do. I've seen a couple here and a couple there, and I think it was Cartman that said it was coming out this holiday or some holiday. You know how video games can be. It's a typical South Park type humor. It was pretty funny. That is actual natural humor that wasn't forced or awkward, but it works. I mean, the game is exactly in line with the show itself. This is the game. You're actually playing a game, but it looks exactly like it would be on the TV show. For those who haven't seen any of it in any way, shape, or form, you need to look it up. I think Microsoft had it on their stage last year, was it? Or was it the year before? I honestly can't remember. It's been shown before. The game looks interesting. If you're a fan of South Park, highly recommend it. You at least check it out. Next up, Ys Guillemot came out and talked about... Okay, this is an interesting... again, new IP. New IP. Again, I love new IPs. Called The Crew. By Ivory Tower is the development studio. Early 2014... and this game looked like it was really... It was just really started off like a racing game, kind of like a Need for Speed clone, and then towards the end it sort of took a turn and sort of gave this kind of Italian job kind of vibe to it. It looks interesting. It looks really interesting. Until they said it was always online. Really, Ubisoft? I mean, really. You can't just leave well enough alone. No, you gotta go always online with that because, you can team up with your friends and create a crew and customize your cars and do missions, and God forbid if anyone ever has to do it by themselves, like, I don't know, for the rest of all of video games before the internet was made. I don't understand what this persistent need, like, I don't know of any markets that are asking for this need for always online. I don't think people like it when it's convenient. Like, for example, when you grab your mobile phone, something interesting happens, you Twitter, you tweet, and then that's that. It's when it's convenient and easy to use, people will gravitate towards it. When it's forced on you, people will reject it. And it just baffles me as to why this is the direction they're going. So I mean, live demo, it looks like it works great. It's kind of the idea of it is like it's a better realized version of the game Fuel, the racing game Fuel, because in The Crew looks like they're trying to recreate the entire United States. Like, you could go to any place at any one time and do different missions that are scattered across the entire country, and that's just a huge map. Like, if they really go with that much, like, I don't know if they're using Google Maps or what have you, but that sounds awesome. But the always online part just is a thorn in everyone's side that will not go away. It looks like I said, better realized version of Fuel, but with like this vibe of the Italian job. Because the reason why I say Italian job is that there was eventually this mission where they had to take out this armored car. And it's like, okay, what are you trying to rob of the armored car? Or is it just a mission for the sake of being missions? And I mean, how diverse are the missions going to be? I mean, there's so many questions, we don't have any answers. It looks interesting. We'll see what happens with it. Next up, Dominique Gray came out with a pre-rendered trailer of Watch Dogs. This game just keeps getting better and better. Oh, I want me some Watch Dogs, like, in the worst possible way. That's probably one of the games I can hands down guarantee that I will be buying later this year. They gave a trailer for Just Dance 2014, coming October 2013 for pretty much every platform. Say what you will about the game Just Dance, it sells extremely well for Ubisoft. So, of course, they're going to cover it. Next up was Ubisoft Motion Pictures showed off an interesting concept. For the kids, interesting nonetheless. Rabbids Invasion. It's a TV show, apparently. An interactive TV show. Now, from what I can gather, every week there will be a handful of mini-games that you play while the TV show is running. And that'll affect the outcome? I don't know. They really didn't explain how thorough the effect would be, but it's an interesting concept. Definitely something for the kids. Using the Kinect, they were pointing at the screen to get different things to happen, like they were shooting eggs at the Rabbids and a couple other things. It's a kids thing. I get the idea. It's in partnership with Nickelodeon for this interactive TV show, which is definitely an interesting concept to explore. We'll see what happens. It's definitely not for the core gamers. Next up was Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. Pre-rendered trailer. Two different ones. It looks groovy. I mean, honestly, the pirate craze, a couple of years too late for that bandwagon, I think, but you never know. It might pull out something interesting. I've never personally myself never been that interested in any Assassin's Creed games, so we'll see. But either which way, it definitely looks good. Then they dropped me something that I am very much so interested in, and I wasn't expecting either. And that's a good thing, because they dropped some Trials up on HAR. And anyone who knows me knows that I'm big on Trials. 2 Trials games, point in fact. Trials Fusion and Trials Frontier. Frontier, easily enough explained, is a mobile game. Okay, so chances are I probably won't be playing that. But nonetheless, it works. Trials Fusion, however. Yes. Oh, yes. This looks, it looks good. It's pretty much coming out on all next-gen platforms, XB One, PS4. I think they snuck in a 360 PS3 in there somewhere, and I'd imagine there's a PC version on its way down the road. The awesome thing about this one is, to this point, Trials, for all that it's really worth, is there's some crazy sick tracks on Trials Evolution. But really, like, the big thing when Trials first came out, the original Flash game, was that, how many flips can you do in a run in this? And, and really past that point, there really haven't been any other tricks, per se. Well, in the limited little bit of showing that they did with Fusion, the guy was doing a Kiss of Death backflip. So they're actually taking legitimate motocross, freestyle tricks and putting it into Trials, which that is just going to add a whole nother level of just difficulty and scoring and bag of, can of worms, bag of chips. I don't know I don't even know. I'm mixing metaphors. I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore. That is something I'm definitely very interested in. Trials is always a big thing with me. And then they ended up with another new IP. Now, at first I thought it was a Rainbow Six game, but it actually turned out to not be. Though I was on the right track because it is still a Tom Clancy's title. Called The Division. Very interesting. New IP. From Massive Entertainment. They started off with a pre-rendered trailer spelling a lot of doom and gloom about how the United States' infrastructure is so complicated that it's actually fragile and can be broken down very easily, and all this doom and gloom and the end of the world, and that there's 200 million shoppers that hit on Black Friday, and then if a flu virus can last on a banknote for like, what do they say, 17 days? I just watched it, I can't even remember, but it's like, oh no, and then like they were like talking about how it's all this, that, and the other thing, and then they suddenly fast forward, so this is 3 weeks later. And they went through a whole section of, day 1, hospitals will be crowded. Day 2, transportation will be cut off. Quarantine zones established. Day 3, all hell breaks loose. It's the usual song and dance. We've all seen it before. It's been there, done that. But the game picks up 3 weeks into New York City, and you're part of a specialist force that's, I don't know, how, when it's this far gone, who can save us? And and they're like, that's the question, isn't it? And I'm like, I don't think it is. If it really, honestly, ever got that bad, I don't think anyone can pull it back. I mean, eventually it'd work itself out, but, for the sake of the intrigue of the game, they went with the line. So yeah, they did a live demo. Notably, though, the camera focused on the guy. He was using a PS4 controller. Pretty interesting. It's on XB One and PS4. It looks very solid, and I was definitely very interested in the fact that it's an open world type game. There's a lot to explore, a lot to see. I don't know if it's just New York City that is the scope, or if the scope is much bigger. Definitely looks interesting, excuse me. And I was very interested until they said that it's also always online, which, seriously, why? Is that necessary? I don't think it is. I mean, but whatever, that was Ubisoft. Like I said, it's not bad. It's not bad. There's some really good stuff in there. But then there's some of the really good stuff, like the new IPs, that were just muddled down with some other unnecessary bullshit, like the always online factor. Why do they think that we need to, like, a couple months, like a month and a half ago, I saw I forget who, but somebody was taking a question from somebody, and the guy asked that, why do these companies are trying to tell me what I need instead of giving me what I need? You know, it's this sense of these companies are trying to tell us what we want instead of, you know, actually giving us what we're asking that we actually use. I don't know. It's neither here nor there. In about an hour and a half is Sony. And I mean, for as much as people think that the PS4 is a slam dunk, I am here to tell you right now that it is just as easily for them to fumble it and lose out as Microsoft pretty much has already had. The XB One will sell a little bit here and there. I don't imagine it'll be gangbusters, at least not initially. But the PS4 is definitely riding high. It's not a slam dunk, though, is what I'm saying. You need to bring... Like, I honestly have no idea what games Sony's going to be showing. Like, I hope it's not all, like, text specs and pictures and online. And, you know, if the show gets dragged down in that sense, and I got a bad feeling that Sony's show is going to be 2 hours. I really do. It starts at 9 p.m. That's kind of late, Sony. Really? You couldn't just have it at 8? I mean, it would be only an hour, you know, half hour away, but... neither here nor there. The big rumor, though, that's on the internet right now that people are losing their shit over is that there might be 3 price SKUs. It's 400, 500, and 600, which, yeah, I thought Sony would have learned their lesson with the PS3 pricing it at $600. That $600 version, damn shit, is sure better come bundled with a Vita and at least 2 controllers. Otherwise, they're shooting themselves so thoroughly in the crotch that it blows my mind. There's no reason in this day and age to have a $600 console. The people that will buy it at launch are the hardcore gamers, and especially more so as it pertains to Sony, the Sony fanboys. As it stands right now, I'm really not too on the Xbox One. I need still to be convinced, though, to buy a PS4. While I'm still leaning slightly on that camp, it's no slam dunk yet. So there's a lot for Sony to gain, but there's just as equally as much for them to lose. Hopefully they will learn their lesson, and they're here to prove us wrong. I hope they bring some heat. The Xbox is November 2013. They didn't say the date. My bet still to this day is September 17th with the PlayStation 4 dropping alongside Grand Theft Auto 5. So I've said that beginning of February is when I said that. VGP 130 is the show that I said that in. So yeah, here's to hoping. Hour and 20 minutes from now, Sony will... there's an open door for them to completely steal the show. But the door is also equally as open for them to lose everything. So, well, let's just see what happens. There's been nothing thus far that's outside of the paint by numbers, but, you know, only time will tell. So until that happens, y'all have yourselves a good day.